Sometimes I think about the future, and I think about our past, and I think about the day we have a planet, have amassed. Think about the forests and the fracking and the leaks, but I don't think about politicians that don't believe.
Aloha mai kako, and welcome to our show Keholani Cares, where we present issues that affect our everyday lives here on our island, Moko'o Keawe. We ask questions of community members, mainly countrymen and women of this Hawaii Pai'aina, and those directly connected with us. We do this in an effort to present a collective group of people, ourselves, your neighbors, whose voices other media sources will censor, distort, narrate over, or disregard altogether. It is important that our voices be heard, especially while under international distress, and that those originating from other homelands outside of this Hawaii Pai'aina afford the same respect to our countrymen and women that you would expect from foreigners visiting or residing in your respective nations of origin. After listening from this perspective, pule, decide on a moral and ethical course of action, then unify with those seeking remedy. Mahalo nui. Let us now begin our show.
Hi, my name's Thunderfoot. That's my full legal name. I just attended the Hawaii County Council meeting. Today is March 12th, 2019, for Resolution 6519 for the adding of police officers. The reason I came here today is because I felt very strongly that the adding of police officers should not be the priority over revamping the entire police system, including the training, the manual, the police commission, the mayor's office. It's all corrupt. I've been, everywhere to try to get help. I was really reluctant to come and testify today. My family was very afraid for me to come and testify. They begged me not to testify today, and I did it. So I do want to document this so that if anything does happen to me, that there is a video of the last thing I did was testify at County Council about the police corruption and brutality. I do have a lot of solutions that we've been compiling over some time that I don't have with me here today. But for now, I'm kind of a little bit disappointed because I felt like their eyes were opened, so they say, but come on, they have to be aware of what's going on in the community. And second of all, what I took away from the meeting was that they were just more concerned about the stress of the officers. And stress does not cause police to have sex in the substation. Stress does not cause someone to not drug and alcohol test their friend who ran over and killed my child and then allowed him to go open his store and return to the scene of the crime. And that wasn't the first time my son was victimized by police. I could go on and on and on, and you probably wouldn't believe me. It's like a nightmare you can't wake up from. Then when you do tell them the law, they ignore you and do what they want anyway. Or how about you call them and they don't make a police report? How about you're at your friend's house when the friend calls and says, hey, they stole my property. And the police says, why don't you get a gun, like Miss Thunderfoot here? Oh, but didn't you steal my gun? Oh yeah, that's right. Anyway, why is that officer blaming her and telling her to get a gun? He should be saying, oh yes ma'am, what was stolen? We'll get right on it. We will try to solve this problem for you. Is he saying that? No, he's making it the victim's responsibility to defend herself. This is something that has to be done, and that is change in the police system. The entire system needs to be revamped. The training manual needs to be revamped. They need to be retaught everything, including cultural sensitivity, because you cannot arrest a Native American with a county police officer. You need someone from the Department of Justice.
And maybe someday that might happen so far as the Hawaiian Kingdom goes, and excuse me, a Hawaiian national here calls someone from the Hawaiian Kingdom. I get so many people coming to me telling me, oh, I gotta drive around in fear if I got a Hawaiian Kingdom license plate or Hawaiian Kingdom ID. But I'm gonna tell you right now, there are parts of the county that actually, there's a list. What form of legal identification are you gonna use? And it says state of Hawaii ID, state of Hawaii driver's license, Hawaii Kingdom ID. It's right there on the county list of acceptable ID. But when it comes to the issue with Hawaiians, so the Department of Justice said, they sent a letter, and they said that the police department cannot use excessive force or tasers to remove Hawaiians from their land. It was collusion between the judge, the sugar cane guys, and the attorney, and usually a realtor. And in the case of Kauai, that report went all the way to the UN. And so reports are in there of all of what the police are doing or not doing. And part of it is that they need to understand that when it comes to HRS 172-11, which is a law of 1872, that the rights of the heirs inure forever, even if the land was alienated or sold, which is a lot of what's going on out in Kauai. And then we have the judge who is sitting there. He's allowing the attorney for this Kauai Sunshine to be the genealogist and somehow dismiss 32 heirs out of the courtroom. And also that it's on government land, a government ahupua'a. So who's actually the grantor in this situation? It's not the state of Hawaii. It's actually what we call the royal stirps, the remainder of the royal family and the vacancy of the throne. I can pretty much guarantee that any officer that's been abusing Hawaiians, going in and using pain compliance, dragging them off their land without even checking, oh, maybe the judge was colluding, or maybe they're all involved. Why is it they're not recognizing a living heir standing right in front of the judge?
I asked the County Council to focus on selecting, training, briefing, retaining, and supporting the officers we have hired, and thought that they might need to hire more trainers, supervisors, and support personnel instead.
Hi, aloha, my name is Shelley. I'm a citizen of the County of Hawaii, also known as the belligerently occupied Hawaiian Kingdom. I'm just here to further testify on the issues of police brutality in the county, and that from what happened to me and others, I was able to get a hold of the training manual. It was given to me by the Corporation Council, and I was really astonished. Other police officers that I know told me you need to look and see what is misconduct, what is custom, and what is written in the manual of what they're allowed to do. So I was very shocked that it said, and I quote, that they may do use of force up to lethal force, and that they have what's called pain compliance. And I had asked another officer, I heard that you have what's called a no continuum policy. What does that mean? So he pulled me in a separate room at the police station, and he says, well, a no continuum policy means a police officer can go into use of force at their own discretion. And I said, well, wait, you don't have a continuum. He goes, yeah, that's what that means. You can go into use of force whenever you want to. And I was like, wow, so even like lower citations, jaywalking, things like that, they can still do use of force. And if they think you're not listening to them, there's a few things that fall under resisting arrest. And once they determine you're resisting arrest, then they can go into use of force. So, sort of a quick wrap of what happened to me. I was waiting on the side of the road, waiting for my boyfriend at the time to, he didn't want to go up to the park to use the restroom, so he just went in the bushes. So I'm standing there on the side of the road waiting for him to come out. And a first officer pulled over and said, oh, do you need help? I see you standing here on the side of the road. And I said, no, I'm just waiting for my boyfriend. He's like, oh no, I don't see anybody. I'm like, no, really. He has a flashlight, he has everything, you know, and he's not gonna know what happened to me or where I went. So then he started to pull away. 2 other police officers come up, and they determined that I was disobeying the officer. They told my boyfriend, you, keep walking up the road, which is actually illegal to have him walk with traffic. And he said to me, come on babe, let's go. So I started to follow him. and thinking that it's okay with the police officer because he said I didn't have to get in the car if I didn't want to. But the other two rookie cops didn't quite understand that and basically said, oh, we've given you 15 minutes to decide whether you're going to ride in the officer's car or not. And that time's up, so you're going to be arrested. And I was like, okay. But see, what happened in the meantime while I'm following my boyfriend, all of a sudden I get put in a chokehold. So I go like this, I get out of the chokehold again, I get out of it again, which I guess upset the cops. Then they kept bumping me with their knees and doing all kind of stuff to me, and I'm like, I don't know what you're doing, I don't know why you're doing this to me, but if you're gonna arrest me, can we please just get this over with and arrest me? And so I said, well, so here, so I put my hands behind my back, which is something my dad had told me not to do when I was a kid, because you put your hands behind your back, then someone could take advantage of you. And I'm thinking, no, I trust the police officer to arrest me and they'll solve this out later, that I really wasn't doing anything wrong. So, which of course later they did decide I wasn't doing anything wrong and dismissed the case. But Corporation Counsel had basically said, no, we want to also charge her for resisting arrest. But without an actual arrest, where's the resisting arrest come in? So they had to dismiss everything. But in the meantime, it wasn't innocent until proven guilty. They treated me like I was some criminal. And next thing you know, instead of being handcuffed, they decided to use their pain compliance and push my arms up over my neck, pigeon winging me with a 250-pound man on my back, which in the ER, it basically appeared that I had a fractured 10th rib. And I had this huge contusion, so my lungs were gurgling and whatnot. So finally, the first officer shouted, she's had enough, she's had enough. And I'm thinking to myself, enough of what? So it turned out to be pain compliance. I hadn't had enough of pain compliance. And it also, with the man on my back, he was pressing down so much that I couldn't even draw a breath. So with my very last breath I had, I said, get off of me, you're killing me. And I saw the light, the orange light kind of fizzling out, and I was starting to lose consciousness. I couldn't take another breath. Meanwhile, my boyfriend's circling around, get off of her. He's cussing and yelling. They didn't do a thing to him. So finally, they handcuffed me, they pick me up, they take me to the car. And I'm thinking, okay, like in the movies or whatever, they're gonna put their hand on top of my head and gently put me into the back seat. No. They had me handcuffed, and according to their training on page 6-12, once they're handcuffed, you can use neck jabs, neck strikes, as applied to juveniles and females. It's on page 6-12, they have other like illustrations and whatnot. And it's after you're handcuffed, which, as I understand it now, that's totally unconstitutional. So I got the neck strike, bam, bam, and then my head hit the metal, bam, bam on this side. Then they basically just throw me on the floor. Luckily I'm facing up, at least I'm not facing down into the carpet. So they get me to the Cal police station, and they say, if you don't get out of the police car, we're gonna drag you out on your head. Now I know in the deposition and whatnot, Corporation Counsel says, well, why did you say your head bounced on the pavement? And I said, because that is what happened to me. And that's exactly what the EMT next door, he saw that, and he recognized me. And he's looking through the hole in the brick wall saying, what is going on over there? Because he heard what the cops said. So meanwhile, they dragged me into the police station, throw me down haphazardly on a wooden chair where I hit my tailbone. And I fell onto the floor, and I'm like one heaping bloody mess because I got contusions here, I got gravel and bleeding cuts over here. My jacket everything was ripped. And the EMT came in and he said, "Excuse me, what is going on in here?" And the police officer said, "Oh, we're arresting her." And the EMT man said, "The hell you are." And he just busted open that door. He came in and he grabbed me. He probably saved my life. Now later, as I'm going over this pain compliance and neck jabs and everything, I've come to realize they're actually allowed to do this to people. So I started going around different islands, asking the police, like in Maui. I asked the police in Honolulu. I asked the marshals. I asked all the sheriffs that I could. And they're like, "Ma'am, we're not trained to strike from the clavicle up." Sheriffs are like, no, we don't do neck strikes. And other people said, doctors and nurses, I asked them, they even have a signed, notarized paper from them saying that you can cause permanent damage when you're going in and striking, because what they're trying to accomplish is motor skill cessation and mental stun. Now, the issue is they're going around and doing this to juveniles and women, okay? So I asked Officer McGuire, she was helping out with the students at KO High School, judo, football, and all that. So when I showed her that training manual, we're actually at the KTA, she was running and shopping, coming out. When she saw that, she's like, "What are they doing to my youth? What are they doing to my youth? Can you please go to the commander's meeting?" And so she sent me to the commander's meeting. So I'm in there with the police department, and I'm thinking about, okay, what happened to me, but I gotta say something for the youth and the women. I'm gonna go ahead and say it. So I said, raise my hand. Chief of police, he points to me. I said, "I need a medical review of your training manual, because how can you be allowed to do anything that comes to your mind? It's a bully's free-for-all." And like, "Man, what are you referring to?" I said, "Well, I'm referring to use of force up to lethal force. You can do neck strikes and jabs of juveniles and women." And actually, that's why I'm here today, I was asked to come here today, to ask, what are you doing to the youth? And as a woman, I gotta say, what are you doing that to the women for? And people are saying, well, they could be doing that to like runaway teenagers or some girl that had to like run away because stuff was happening in her home. She doesn't need that. She doesn't need to be like handcuffed, mistreated, struck in the neck. And so they ended up saying, the chief of police said, "I'm sorry, we can't do a medical review of a foreign document." And I was like, "Foreign document?" And so I showed him the cover. I says, "Look right here." I said, "This says HPD." So one of the officers says, "Chief, that's your pressure point control technique manual." I said, "Pain compliance is under this." Now when Kalea came, we had a meeting right here in this building. They're very surprised at the whole issue of use of force and what that meant to the police department here. So they wanted a continuum. They wanted to have it really set down so that the community feels comfortable, police feel comfortable. Okay, on this continuum, if you go rob a bank, this is what you're going to get. If you do jaywalking, you shouldn't expect to end up in the ER. Innocent or guilty. Now the thing for me, I'm really concerned. I'll just go ahead and show you my hand. Now they fixed this one. I'm supposed to get this guy fixed. But basically this happened to me because the police wouldn't just handcuff me. They used that pain compliance, wrenched my arms. The swelling got so bad in the back of my hands, it started eating through my tendon to where I couldn't even use my thumb anymore. So they had to go in, take a tendon out of here. To save money, I mean, maybe I shouldn't even think about that, but to save money, I only had them fix 2 of the fingers. Okay, it looks like my hand got shut in a door. So basically, I ended up having to go, to the emergency room, and then later on, it's like I kept losing the ability to even open the door, my fingers swelling up. So they put me on a high dose of a prednisone, 60 milligrams, day after day. Now what happens is the swelling goes down, but my fingers, the tendons got all stretched, okay? They didn't have to do this to me. You know, I wasn't resisting arrest. I said, please arrest me, you know, just to get it over with what they had already done to me. But what they did to me after was way worse. And I guess when I was in my 40s or something like that, but I can't imagine them doing that to me now. But I'm thinking, what's to stop them? Or what's to stop them from doing that to a juvenile or any female they see on the street? So Judge Ezra basically, for some reason, I guess Judge Ezra took a lot of pity on me. I've never been in a situation before with police brutality. 2 officers told me, you know, figure out, you know, you need to get the training manual, see what is misconduct, what is allowed, and what is a custom. And then you can actually show that their custom and their training and their lack of training. So the lack of training, if it leads to what's called deliberate indifference, okay, that's a constitutional right violation. The other thing is because the neck jabs are for juveniles and females, Judge Seabright, the federal judge, said, well, that is actually called invidious discrimination. So you're like, well, this works on them because their necks are smaller. No, okay? I think I may have said it. I went around measuring people's necks. I couldn't help it. May I please measure your neck? I go all over the college campus. I sit there with a tape measure. People are like, oh, she wants to measure your neck. Any Samoans, please come on down. Okay, so I found the Samoans' neck, women's necks, but they're way bigger than my Filipino friend man's necks. So I tell the corporation counsel, I said, I don't see where you're justifying striking women and children in the neck because our necks are smaller than men's. You need to go around with a tape measure just like me and go see, because you know what? It just doesn't apply. And so I asked today, you know, can we just do a ban on neck strikes? So the human relations services lady that hires people, she said, well, she doesn't know that really falls under her. And I'm like, okay, but you know, if you're going to be hiring these people and the training of these people, someone's got to do something about these neck strikes. And so she said, well, it's going to take a lot of research. I'm like, really, not that much research. You just look at the training manual, if you've ever seen it, and look on page 6-12. You'll find it, along with all the other illustrations. You need a medical review. You need that, because then that would reduce liability for the county, raise the trust, you know, and then we get an actual continuum, and officers are trained on that continuum. And another thing Department of Justice said was, if you look at Puerto Rico, they had to go into a memorandum of agreement. The Puerto Rican Police Department had to go into an agreement with Department of Justice under use of force. So they say, if you're gonna do use of force, you gotta say why, you gotta say what, and it better match up. And the injuries, you're supposed to document the injuries, not just like what they did in Kona. Knock the poor teenager boy off the wall and stomp him until he's peeing blood in, and they won't even call for a doctor. And then they act like we didn't do anything, he did that to himself. So that's where it comes down to, is that we need cameras, you know, citizens should not be wearing cameras, worry about police. Police should be held accountable for what they do with use of force, having a camera, and not being opposed to a camera, because why would you be opposed to a camera unless you're doing something that you want to hide? Okay? Show us, you know, because we want to be able to trust the police department again. You know, honor, protect, and serve. You know, so I'd say that there's a really big problem. I'm not saying that it can't be fixed, but right now the county council, what are they actually going to do about it? They're going to come up, you know, with a ban on neck strikes. They don't know if that's something, maybe it's a police commission to do that. I said, no, I already asked them. And they said, this is what they said, that they cannot interfere with anything under administration.
Who writes the manual?
So, okay, so under administration, I'm not telling you go tell the mayor what to do, but under your office, you're hiring these people, they have to go through certain training, and that needs to be part of it. A continuum, very limited pain compliance use, if any, a proper handcuffing, you know, I mean, there's a long list of things. But also the nurse, one of my friends who's a nurse, she said actually you can do a 4-point takedown of someone without even hurting them. Why can't police learn how to do that? Actually, we got a bad situation here that we need to fix it, and us community members, okay, this is what's happening to us. And I know there's good officers out there, and you know, I believe in you. And I wish I could call you. I don't always know who I'm gonna get if I gotta call someone for help, but I shouldn't be afraid to call because of all the reports that we all hear about people getting abused, like, oh, don't call the police. You better watch out because you're gonna be chained up to the wall, in KL, beaten up, because that's what happened to my friend's dad. So it's you know, it's a bad system we got here, but we got to speak out. If we don't know what else they're doing out there, I mean, like what happened to me was like horrendous. What happened to my friend was horrible. And later on, you get these people that now they get awards and stuff. Well, okay, well, how come that police report of brutality, you forgot all about that? And now you're going to put that same person that was doing sexual things while removing, you know, the seatbelt strap. Now that person is handling runaway teenage girls, you know, things like that. Like, why aren't you listening to us? This person has a problem. Why do you put him in that position? Sure, that's a perfect position for him, okay? But when it comes to our teenagers, our youth, our elderly and everything, we got to protect them against stuff like this. And anybody that's been even close to doing police brutality, either they got to be retrained or they have a problem, they should be fired. But in any case, aloha to everybody out there, and just remember, anytime if they consider that you're resisting arrest, they can go into use of force. So until we get this all squared away, just be careful, y'all. All right.
This is a reminder to be mindful, to unplug and to unwind, to exercise your mind, and spend more time outside. Read more books, not just memes. Read the lines and in between. Read the signs inside your dreams and question everything you see. Don't fall for illusion, all the static and confusion, all the energy we're using. Tell me, where does it go? Where does it come from? Things are moving faster than they ever have before, and we're all addicted to the shift in speed. Well, I'm centering, I'm bettering myself to get back to me. Yeah, things are moving faster than they ever have before, and we're all addicted to the shift in speed. Well, I'm centering, I'm bettering myself to get back to me. And I keep telling myself, don't miss out on life. Let your light shine bright. Whether it's weird or beautiful or both, let it be an honest work in progress. Let it be true. Let your light shine bright. Whether it's weird or beautiful, let it be an honest work in progress. Let it be true. Let your light shine bright. Let your shine